Thank you, Lisa. So, thank you all for coming. Thanks for having me here. I'll be talking mostly about this project that I've been working on for the past 20 years. It's a set of Acadian folk songs that were written down by my Mémère, Eliza Thibodeau. And I usually don't, when I'm out and about and presenting in real life, I don't bring the real notebook along with me, but since I'm home, you get to see the real thing, the original notebook, which I've preserved. And actually, there's a facsimile of the entire notebook in the archives at the University of Maine, Fort Kent. So you can see that digitally if you're so inclined. Or you can, when this is out, this songbook has a lot of facsimiles from, whoops, I'm supposed to be able to, oh yeah. So this is a facsimile of, or a paste up of what will be my songbook with the contents. There's about a dozen songs from the original notebook that I've arranged. And then there's some background. There's my Mémère and Pepe, and there's me. But this is a facsimile of the notebook itself. And of course, all of the lyrics are in French. So my first job was to learn the lyrics in French and then search for the melodies, because my Mémère passed before I was able to have her sing them to me, although there were a few that were still in the family. Most of them were sort of lost to my generation. But subsequently, I got a grant from the Maine Arts Commission to do some research and study with a Acadian guitar master, David Surrett, and he helped me to arrange these songs for new audiences. And eventually, just a few years ago, I decided, after having played them to various audiences, English-speaking and French-speaking, here and abroad, that for them to resonate with my peers, to resonate with my generation, they had to be translated into English. And so that's what I've spent the past few years doing, arranging them and translating them into English verse. And so I'll try this first song on you. First of all, can everybody hear my guitar and my voice all right? Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'm going to just sing the first verse in French so you can get a feel for it, and then sing the whole thing in English, so you can follow along on either side. I've moved my, by the way, just a little Zoom note. If you're watching the video, you can move it. If you click on the window with the video, you can move it wherever you want on the screen so that you can see all of the lyrics. So this one has a lot of different versions that I've found that have been either printed in songbooks or recorded over the millennia. And the one that so this is sort of a hybrid that I'll be singing for you. It goes like this. Le matin, je me lève en le rose du jour au château de la belle pour faire l'amour. Belle dormez-vous sous ma bouche, Leonore, Si vous dormez sur my vous, c'est votre main qui parle à vous. In the morning I rise to the rose of the day, to the chateau of my love, for with her to lay. Are you asleep and dreaming too, Chère Leonore? If you're asleep, awake, forsooth, 'tis I, your love, who calls for you. So the damsel doth awake and dons her lily robe, and thereupon throws wide the door for the one who loves her so. She casts herself into his arms to softly tell, at last it's you, my cherished one, the one whom my heart loves so well. Be still and hold my sweet love, you'll make me wilt away. The regiment calls to me, and I must obey. I'm yet engaged for 6 more years in Orleans, so 6 more years I'm off to war. Fare thee well, my Chère Leonore. Hey! Six years, my dear, 6 more years is far too long a time with which to suffer such torment, to worry and to pine. I'll miss you true out in the fields for airy tears, regret and tears forevermore for the one who I love so dear. Many are the good old boys in this good old town, and surely they'll make love to you while I'm not around. They'll tell you soft from time to time, oh, don't you cry, don't you cry for your old love, for he by now has surely died. All the boys of the town, they know not what to do, and the lyrics are always the same, and always the same tune. It's not like that for you, my love, oh, not with you. For every time that you return, there is always something new. Thank you. Oh, I can see you clapping. I can't hear you clapping, but I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's a really typical Acadian ballad. It's not a typical song by any other stretch of the imagination, I think. But there are themes in here that are very typical of Acadian ballads. War, love lost, leaving home, and also a conflict between the boy and the girl, I guess you could say, and a very odd solution in the end, which is sort of a hallmark of a lot of these tunes that Mémère picked, that there's a strange twist at the end. And in case you weren't following the lyric, I understand it's hard to with English verse or French verse, even no matter what your native tongue is, when you hear a song for the first time, you're taking in a lot, so you might not be able to follow the story. But the story is basically about a young man coming back from war to see his love, and he says, well, I'm going back, I'm going back to war for 6 more years. She says, what am I going to do? 6 years is too long. And he says, well, there's plenty of young boys in the town that will make love to you while I'm gone. And she says, instead of saying, how dare you? She says, oh, all the boys in town don't know how to make you love. It's always the same lyrics and always the same tune. A lot of these songs are kind of eyebrow raisers. and yet they've been around for a long, long time. You can see on the right, I'm sorry, on the left of the screen, there's a number of sorry, searching for a word. The references, the songs that I referred to in putting this together. Many of them came from academic archives. I found probably a seminal recording in Cape Breton, at the University of Cape Breton, that you can find if you look online. It was in many of the versions named Belle Nanon instead of Belle Leonore, which is what my Mémère came up with. And I haven't found any other versions of it with the name Leonore, but she often switched names up. Her husband was named Henri, and there's a classic old Acadian tune called Arthur that she renamed Henri. So she used some of these old, she used these folk songs and made them her own in some cases. You can also see at the bottom there that Le Vent du Nord recorded this song in 2019, which was a big surprise. I had found this song over a decade ago, and continued to find different versions of it. But Le Vent du Nord, of course, is a great Québécois group who uses Acadian tunes also as a source, and they found this version in the University of Laval, their version. So it's quite different, but really great. There's another recording there from France in 1973 with a different title, and that gentleman, Jean-François Duterte, plays it on épinette, which is basically a mountain dulcimer. And so it's got this what do you call it? Ostinato, a drone that appears in a lot of these different versions. But the interesting part to me about that was that on the LP, it listed the title, and then it was French songs from all over the world, and this one in parentheses listed the source as Acadian. So it sort of underscored the fact that this, yes, is an Acadian tune, even though the oldest version that I was able to find was from Brittany, and that's that first source there. Brittany, of course, is the Celtic region of France where many of the Acadians departed from the Old World to the America. So that's that. I figured that I would. I'm going to play, a handful of tunes with some different bits to them, and then have some questions and answers. But if you have some burning desire to pipe up, please don't let me stop you. If you have a question about this particular tune, or need some, if I'm not being clear about something in particular, please stop me, and otherwise we can move on. Can I have a yay, brother?
Yeah, carry on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
What kind of guitar are you playing?
Good question. This is a Conley. Uh, it's made by Scott Conley in Bodenham, Maine.
Yeah, I thought I saw that in the headstock. I noticed the slotted peg head, so I was.
And he put for me Le Conley.
Le Conley, c'est bon.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of made the program so that I can. I'll just play the first few songs in the notebook. There's my Mémère. And this one is called Qualité de fille, which gave me some. This was another one that I found early on, but gave me quite a bit of challenge in terms of finding its voice. First of all, because the first source that I found was a wholly different version of the tune. The first version that I found was in a set of songbooks put out by the University of Moncton, and let's see. Oh, if I can remember. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So it's the Chansons d'Acadie, edited by Father Chère, and it was called Adieu de la Mariée. And the Lefort, which is he's the guy, Conrad Lefort, pretty much made the Bible of concordance, chanson folklorique de Nord-Amérique. It's a catalog of all these different songs and concordance of titles. And in most cases, my meme titled the songs with their first line. And so that made it a little difficult to find some of them. And of course, in all folk songs, the melodies and tunes change from generation to generation and from person to person, because it's an oral history, right? It's not a lot of these songs, or most of these songs, existed before there were recordings. So this was no exception. But I found out later, actually just last summer, a friend of mine was visiting from Montreal, and she took the time to look through the notebook in person, and she recognized this song as one that was recorded by Galant to Père de Temps, and she actually had the CD in her car, so she shared that with me, and it turned out that that version was much closer to my Mémère's version. And a couple things that I'd like to point out. I'll show you the original notebook. So you can see that. Can you see my cursor when I go like that? You can. Okay. So in a lot of these songs, are chansons à répondre. And these little brackets that Mémère wrote down is the repeated parts. So typically it's a call and response has a repeated part for the chorus, I guess. Well, I wasn't really familiar with that at the time when I first looked at this, and it seemed to me like there was this orphaned set of lines. The University of Moncton version just started with J'avais promis dans mon jeune âge. And so I decided, okay, well, that fits. Everything else fits, but there's these two lines that didn't exist in the University of Moncton one. So I turned this into a chorus, which is sort of atypical of all of these. Most of these songs don't have choruses. They're mostly ballad style. So a bunch of different verses strung it together to make a story. So anyway, so not to belabor that point, but I do want to point out some interesting tidbits of language geekery here. Eliza, my Mémère spells adieu here as two words, and she pluralizes God, so it's to the gods. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. You could call it just a misspelling or a typo, but she does it 3 times in this one song, and she spells adieu properly in other places in the notebook. The other thing that she does that is very Acadian is, where is it? Here, this last line here. Je m'en vais le quitter. So it's conjugated, but it's a very colloquial way of saying I'm going to leave them, my parents, I'm going to leave them. Instead of I am going to leave them, it sort of reads I's a gonna leave them, which says, I think, something, maybe something about my Mémère, who didn't have a lot of schooling, but I think it also says something about the narrator of this song. I tend to think that it is intentional and part of the character of the song. So I'll sing this one for you the way that I've gotten used to singing it. It's very pretty. And let's see. Do you want to hear it in French or English, or both, or half and half?
En français.
En français.
Oh, ouais, okay. Bien sûr. Okay.
You went back to the other song on the screen. We're back to Qualité de Vie.
Yeah, this is Qualité de Vie.
This
Yes.
is Qualité de Vie.
Yep. So the first one I sang was Chère Leonore. This is Qualité de Vie. I just wanted to hop back to the original notebook. See, the songbook that I'm preparing has got the facsimiles of the original notebook and some pictures, and then along with these sort of arranged and translated bits. So, all right. So this is en français. J'avais promis de mon jeune âge jamais que de marier, mais à présent j'en trouve l'avantage. Tous mes parents, je m'en vais les quitter. Adieu, la qualité de vie. Adieu, je m'en vais vous quitter. c'est un odeur que je porte qui fait le ronde de mon doigt. C'est mon amant qui me le donne. C'est pour finir ces jours avec moi. Adieu, le qualité de fille. Adieu, je m'en vais vous quitter. Oh, nous voilà, tout mis à table, tous mes parents autour de moi. À chaque fois, je le regarde, les larmes coulent de mes yeux. Adieu, la qualité de fille. Adieu, je m'en vais vous quitter. Adieu, père. Adieu, mère. Adieu tous mes bons parents. C'est avec peine que je veux quitter, mais je viendrai encore vous voir. Adieu, la qualité de fille. Adieu, je m'en vais vous quitter. Farewell to my childish ways. Goodbye, I'm leaving today. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I apologize in advance if you're expecting more of a concert and you're getting a whole bunch of academic geekery, but you're a captive audience, so to speak. So this is really what I wanted to do, is share some of what went into doing this, and also give you a little bit of flavor of where I'm coming from and why I'm doing this. My plan is to record these first 12 songs from the notebook and put out a 2 CD set. One CD will be all of the songs in their original French, and then I'll have another CD with the same songs translated into English and arranged with more of a modern sort of new trad arrangement or treatment. So I was actually almost done with the recording when the virus hit, and so there's kind of been a work stoppage, although I've been working on this part of it, the songbook. So there'll be a 2 CD set, and then this songbook will be available as a spiral bound volume. So somehow I made my little video screen thing go sideways. I can't make it go unsideways. Does anybody know how to fix that? It's kind of getting in the way. Oh, I can just make it me. Okay. Well, then I can't see your smiling faces. Wait a minute. Oh, technology. Huh. No. Oh, well. Okay, I'll just have to deal with it.
I think if you just move it over to the extreme side of your screen, it'll automatically kind of rejig to be vertical.
Hi-ya! I'm slamming it against the left side of my screen. That's not changing. Oh, it did! Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So here's the next one. And I will point out that this is still a work in progress. before I talk about the next song, just want to show you me and Lisa's family tree. I think we share an ancestor all the way back to Jean-Baptiste Thibodeau III, and I had to blew out his birthplace because I was told in no uncertain terms that he was not born in Grand Pré, as some genealogists purport, but he was born after 1759, after the Grand Arrangement, and therefore born in the woods somewhere, maybe, or we just don't know. So I'm going to change that to that birthplace to inconnu, I suppose. And so this one is a funny tune with another twist, a sort of a weird, not a very well, let's see. I guess maybe I'll let you decide what is up with the story here. It's a weird story, but I'd love to talk about it after I sing it. And you shall I sing it in? How about this? I'm going to sing this half in English and half in French, so you can sort of follow along in which one you prefer, and decide if you can figure out what is happening in this song. Okay, so let's see. I'll start in French. So the first version that I got that I saw of this was from Lisa Ornstein. She had made a transcription of it in the archives from the University of Maine, Fort Kent, and she said that it was a parlor ballad style, so which means that it was sung freely without which is kind of typical a cappella, free rhythm. But when I heard the melody, it sounded like a gypsy jazz thing to me. So that's how I sing it, kind of like this. Quand je demeurais tendais le jeu, me promène souvent avec le plus de jolies filles qui demeurait à couvent. J'allais voir une brunette en une noire et celle-là. Un jour rose et coquette avec de suite. One night by the light of the full moon, we took a walk together down a lovely path of greenery, down a path so tender. I won't say she was immodest, but certainly she was a shortest. There we lay beneath the old oak tree. That's when I made a promise. Aujourd'hui, là, ma femme, je lui donne mon cœur. Je l'aime, de profond de l'aime, rien n'égale mon bonheur. Le bonheur de mariage, nous avons à nos côtés. De petit enfant, ma base est jeune, cheveux blancs et dorés. All you younger girls who live in town, don't rush out too quickly before you go ahead and settle down. Wait until you're 20, that's the age that all young fillies, sorry about that, appreciate more definitely. The happiness of having family, the peace and the tranquility. Merci. Okay, so were you able to follow that song, in the English, French melange there?
Yes.
And Abby, thank you. I apologize in advance, especially that I see that your beautiful young child is there. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the subject of this song, which is pretty strange. Just to recap, this young man would hang around the convent looking at the pretty girls, and he spies one that gives him the wink, and so they end up getting married, and he makes a big deal. The narrator makes a big deal, and by the way, this was written down, chosen not by me but by my Mémère, my sweet grandmother. But it has a very a bawdy sort of undertone. He makes a big deal about how she's got dark hair and dark eyes, and yet all of our youngest children have blonde and curly hair, or blonde flaxen hair, which if you're paying attention, makes you go, what's going on there? And then the last verse, and then the other thing is, she was only 18 at the time that he swiped her from the convent. Well, his advice in the last verse is, you young girls in town should really wait until you're at least 20 before you get married, because then you will appreciate the life of marriage more definitely. So yes, there are some sort of questionable ethical dilemmas and sort of sexist, misogynist weirdness going on in these old songs that I think is worth pointing out, because it is sort of part of our culture and a part of our history. I don't think that it's that these things, that these songs are necessarily glorifying that. They're more poking fun at it. There's at least 3 songs in this collection. In this, out of these first 12 songs, 3 of them mention getting married too young. I think that it is, in some places it's a cautionary tale. In other places it's there's some other message. But in any case, I would love to hear anybody's reaction to this song, especially with the lens of modern gender relations.
It occurs to me, Robert, do you hear me?
Yes.
That there's no description of him. He might be blonde with flaxen hair.
Yes.
How's that for Puritanism?
Well, that is possible, but then what would be the point of the 4th verse?
I understand.
Yeah. Plus, kids' hair gets darker over time. Look at her son,
Yes, I'm sure there could be a plausible explanation.
Yeah.
However, I think that it may be that there's a plausible explanation, but the fact remains that the narrator is wondering out loud about how this came to be.
But is he wondering why the first one has dark hair? I mean, that was the thing that rolled up to me, because you use chaudesse, right? And she's obviously very appealing and all. She gives him the wink. Has she already been with somebody else, and that's the first child?
Well, I don't think so, because he mentions that she's a brunette with originaire étincelant, so dark eyes and dark hair. So that tells me about what she looks like. But also, and by the way, I took some liberties in order to make the English rhyme. But in French it says "Elle s'appuie sur moi sans gêne," gêne, which means she reclined upon me without modesty. So, is that a fair translation? Those of you who speak French better than I. I think the point that the narrator is trying to make is that this young lady was not cut out to be a nun.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting to me is not what the song is saying, but just being consistent with, I mean, this is your grandmother's notebook. It's not your notebook.
Right.
Right. And so I think when you're dealing with any kind of project like this, or even when I'm writing about my own life, and I have to make decisions about, you know, I have to accept that it's creative nonfiction, right? That I can change chronology or combine characters or exaggerate things to make it work. And so I think the question that I am interested in is, why did your grandmother include those songs?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think that is that is a big question. And yes, I want to present this as a living document, but also I don't want to whitewash it. I want to present it as you know, as a reflection of who my Mémère was and who the Acadians are, and you know what they think is important, what their stories are about. So yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. It's a puzzle though, right? Like, and it's the same with the Chère Leonore. Why would my saintly Mémère, and by the way, there are no sacred songs in this collection. It's all secular folk songs, many of which have sort of weird body undertones. So yeah, it makes you wonder, like, why is it that she's chosen songs that have this conflict between the genders and you know, talk about marrying too young. I think it's worth
I think
exploring.
it says a lot about her life and the time that she lived in, and the complexity of the mixed messages that one receives, right? Because there's the real life that's happening where she's living, and then there's the Catholic reality, the ideal that she's supposed to be living, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, for that matter, since you mention it, she was married at the age of 16. So. Yeah, I think that she didn't have a lot of choices in her life when it came to, like, you know, what we were talking about last weekend at the Rassemblement, about women not necessarily being in control of their own bodies back then, you know. Because of the patriarchy of the Catholic Church. mostly, I guess, right?
Robert, in your research to genealogy, I know that my grandmother, Aunt Liza's sister, was also married at 16. How old were the other girls married at? Do you know?
I don't know, but I know that she was from a family of 11, and my Pepe was from a family of 12 that grew up on the other side of the river, and his sister married her brother. So that sort of tells you, like, how big the gene pool was out there. Pretty shallow pool. And, you know, I like to just point out also that in the winter, that river froze over. So there was no frontier, right? They'd just walk right over, and here we are. So yeah, I don't know, but I don't think it was atypical for young ladies to be married and have children before they're 18. Anything else? We got probably time for one more song. I'm gonna skip through here. Oh yeah, okay. I'll pick one that is special. It's pretty dark. It's called Petite Aurore, and this was one that my father did recognize when I brought when I got the notebook from my Aunt Trudy after I started playing Acadian music with Boreal Tordu, with Steve Muse. You know, got around the family that I was interested in Acadian folk music. It wasn't really handed directly to me right away because I grew up in an English-speaking world, and you know, my father did his best to assimilate, even though when we went to visit his parents, of course, everything was in French. He didn't pass the language down to me directly because it was a liability for him. But when I did get my hands on the notebook and I started doing some research, and I brought it to him and said, you know, do you recognize any of these songs? And this was one that he said, oh yeah, this is one of Mémé's favorites. And he said it goes da 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 da. It's a bouncy little cute tune, and I started reading the lyrics, and it's about a young girl who is tortured by her stepmother, and she burns her with a red hot iron and feeds her bread with soap on it. But it has a happy ending, because in the end the little girl dies and goes to heaven and finds her real mother.
There was a movie about this.
Say again?
There was an old black and white movie about this.
That's right. Yes. So this is apparent. Yeah.
I remember seeing it when I was a child. Yeah.
That's right, because it was as it turns out, a true story. It was based on a murder trial in Quebec in the turn of the century. Aurore Gagnon, who was murdered by her evil stepmother. So anyway, the melody didn't really match the grim lyrics, but I was compelled to keep the melody, but I just changed the chords, the melody, the harmonic structure is in a minor key to sort of match the subject matter. So I heard everybody go, yes, sing it in French earlier. I could just sing it right off of this page if, or you could follow along if you can read her handwriting. It's kind of fun. Or we can go so that you can read it in standard French and get the English lyrics. Anybody have a preference?
Oh,
French, well, in French, one way or the other.
Okay. All right. I'll sing it in French, but I'll leave it here so you can see the English translation if you like. And the words might be easier to make out. Il était quelque part dans ce monde un enfant qui aimait le bon Dieu. Et malgré ses souffrances profondes, elle avait le regard vers le ciel. Sa belle-mère, un malade vampire, lui faisait endurer des tourments. Petite Aurore, petite matière, elle n'avait plus de charme, maman. La chaumière se passait ce drame, semblait le plus heureuse du monde. La belle-mère se passait en grande dame, on la met à le rang. Elle servait dans fer rouge la ceinture, elle brûlait le corps de le pauvre enfant. Petite Aurore, petite matière, elle n'avait plus de charme, maman. Ce n'était qu'une petite moribonde se mourait de douleur et de faim. La marade est toujours là qui gronde et lui donne doucement sur le pain. Si tu refuses, lui dit le vampire, je tuerai sans entendre un instant. Petite Aurore, petite matière, elle n'avait plus de charme, maman. Après de nombreux mois de souffrance, sa mère lui apparut un jour, lui disait que bientôt sa délivrance la conduirait au ciel pour toujours. Le bon Dieu, sachant bien qu'elle expire, l'envoie par ses anges charmants. Petite Aurore, petite matière, elle avait retrouvé sa maman. Merci. Thank you. Thank you so much. So
Kind of sad though.
yeah, pretty
Weird.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, whoops, oh, did I do that wrong? So that is about an hour, which is what we scheduled. But I'm happy to keep going or answer questions or you know do whatever. I'm so happy to have you all here.
Did your
Yes, well,
grandmother,
thank you.
we're talking at the same time.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did your grandmother write the book, or did she get it from someone else?
She wrote these songs down from her childhood, from her memory. And it is it's actually a time-worn tradition, at least in the Acadian and Quebecois cultures, to do this, to keep a notebook. And I actually have another notebook that was kept by, I guess, my uncle Edmond. Although it's got a couple of different names on it. It was typically the matriarch that would keep these. My meme has her husband's name and address on her notebook, but it was definitely written down by my meme. And this one has Edmund Thibodeau, Millinocket, Maine, but then almost unreadable, you can see Gloria Dubois, Belfast, Maine. So I haven't gotten to the bottom of that. I still have another 24 songs from my meme's notebook to dig into. And then I've got Uncle Edmund's as well. So a lot of research still to do.
Thank you. Thanks
I-
a lot. I'm gonna
Merci
have
à
to
vous.
go now. Thank you.
I had a last question, or a question. I know it doesn't have to be the last. I know you had a GoFundMe page at one point. What do you need from us? What do you need to finish?
Oh,
And
thank
is
you.
there a way that we can all help you?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah. So the GoFundMe is it was actually Indiegogo, and it's expired. So you can I raised about $5,000 out of the close. It's going to end up being closer to $1,500. I mean $15,000 to for the recording and the printing and all that. But since then, I've gotten quite a few more sponsors, including the Franco-American program. So I appreciate that. But I do need more sponsors. And you can pre-order. And that is the best and most equitable way to help out is to go to my website, which is robertsylvain.com, and order the CD and songbook. When it's done, you'll get one, and you'll help me out quite a bit. So thank you for the question. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the support. Yeah.
Which David Surratt did you study with? David Surratt with Susie Burke, or the David Surratt from elsewhere?
Yeah, that you've got the one. David and Susie live in Berwick, Maine. Yep.
He's been a friend of mine for I've known them for 30 years. They're great people. I could hear that wonderful way that you interpreted from his playing. There are never too many notes with David. They're always the right ones, and there's always enough space between them. He's a great player.
He really is, and such a sweetheart of a guy too.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get him actually to play most of the guitar parts for the recording. I can fake my way through a live performance, but there's nothing like getting a master like him for when it really counts, when you're going to hear it over and over again.
Yeah, I'd say he and David Doucet are the two I would love to see play together at the same time because they both have that same magical touch.
Yeah, yeah. David Doucet actually was what the person I guess I would credit with me realizing the power of my the music of my heritage because you know, for me in my late 20s, I was playing music and writing songs and into Bob Dylan, but like Acadian music to me was like something for old people. I didn't pay much attention to it, and then I saw David Doucet with his brother Michael as a duo at the Lowell Folk Festival, and they told a little bit of the story of the Acadians and he mentioned Thibodeau, and I was like, yeah, well, oh, you're talking about, because there's so many Thibodeaus in Louisiana, right?
Right.
He said, oh, you're talking about my people. I knew it was there, but I didn't think it had any power. It was sad, really. But once I started looking at it from a different angle, I realized, oh man, there's something really beautiful here. And then at that time, I was in a folk band in Boston with Steve Muse, who I'd known since we were teenagers. And we never discussed our shared Acadian heritage until after that. And that's when we started putting together Boreal Tordu.
Thank you. This has been great. Really enjoyed
Thank you.
Hey, merci, Bob.
Merci.
Anyone else? Any more
I'm
questions?
I'm just so impressed, Rob, with the degree of research you've done into all of this. It's just a joy to listen
Hey,
to.
Claire, thank you.
Hey, Rob, it's obviously coming from your heart, and it's a passion for you, and it's just such a delight to see somebody pursue that.
Thank you very much. I have to point out, since you mentioned it, that I'm not a musicologist. I'm not trained in
Sound like one.
in research, you know, and I've definitely stumbled and fumbled, and some of my research, my sources are might be questionable, you know, for people who are really into the letter of the law when it comes to musicology. But for me, it's just, I'm taking it from a standpoint of, you know, what resonates with me as an Acadian and as a musician, and what do I want to hear? So that's the approach I've taken.
What they call grounded research.
Right.
Fair enough. I'm going to use that. Thank you.
Robert, do you
Yes.
know of a Florence Rose Martin from Lewiston?
Yes.
Does that name ring a bell?
It does.
So she would sing these ballads a cappella herself, and she
Oh,
had
yes.
a notebook.
Right. That's how I know her from the
From the reunions in Madawaska, right?
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, I thought does she run the chanson in Lewiston, or she?
Yeah, I think years ago. So I think in the 90s, I had gone up to Madawaska a couple times for the Levesque reunion and the Martin reunion. And yes, done. And I met Florence Rose. She sang the Canadian anthem at the celebration, and
Okay.
and I said, "Oh, you're a Martin," and she said, "Yes, and you're from the Acadian Martins." And she mailed me. Oh, it was so thick. It was this big notebook, and you know, the penmanship is so close to what your Mémère's is.
How interesting.
You know, I mean, the way that they, you know, had their longhand is so beautifully written. So I have that. I mean, I'm in Utah, but back in Maine in my attic, I have that notebook, and yeah, I'll get that to you.
Oh, I'd
when I
love
get
to see
back
that.
there, because
Yeah.
I would be so beautiful to compare because they're of the same epoch, the same age.
Right.
It's so fun to see if there are overlapping songs or, and my first impression was, oh my gosh, they're all about men drinking too much, women having, you know, babies before they get married and going to war. And,
right.
And yet, like you said, they were poking fun at it for the most part. You know, they were singing and being very joyous, despite the hardships of real life, you know, that grounded theory that somebody just brought up. So I think it would be fun to share that. I mean, I did go on your Indiegogo, and so I hope to receive this notebook, and I'd love to.
You will, I promise.
Just exchange them and see, you know, how they resemble each other. So thank you.
Yeah, and Lisa, you said that you have a notebook also, right? Is that?
I do. My grandmother.
Yeah.
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau?
Okay. So, yeah. So do you have have any idea, like, have you written down the titles or anything like that?
I haven't done anything with it. I made copies of it for the family. So
yeah,
a member of the family would have one.
I'd love to compare.
I wanted to add, Robert, there's in the St. John Valley, there was this woman by the name of Ida Roy.
Yes.
Yep. Are you familiar with the name?
Yes, Lisa Ornstein gave me a CD of hers.
Yes.
And I actually didn't find any of her songs in common with Eliza's, but there are hundreds and if not thousands.
Right.
When I was at the University of Fort Kent in the 70s, I was working for Roger Parody in the summer and recording. And Ida Roy is one of the women that I had recorded singing.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And Dawn, you just recorded one this morning or today, right?
Oh, yeah, I had fun.
I tagged you on it, Robert.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it.
Dawn this morning shared on Facebook one of the songs.
Yeah, I write a lot of songs about the Valley, basically, about our culture. And this song that I posted, I'm posting one every Sunday to remind me how long I've been cooped up here.
Yes.
This was my 9th posting, by the way. And it's a song about Rose la Tulipe. It's a song that mothers used to tell their daughters to watch out for strangers. Dark and handsome, he asked her to go to the dance. There are many versions of this story. In my version, they get to the dance and he keeps his gloves on because he just wants to dance. And the music is playing and they're dancing until she feels his claws through the gloves. And then the priest comes in and throws holy water on him, and then he screams and he turns into a beast and he disappears into the woods.
Wow.
So there are various versions of that story, but I put music to it and added my own words. And
John, how do you find that on Facebook?
Le Chanteur Acadien.
Merci.
Great. I'll look forward to seeing that.
Check that out.
Hearing it.
Very good. Any more questions? Donna, were you going to say something?
No, it's correct.
You're correct. Okay. Everyone all set?
I think you froze. Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Robert.
Thanks for listening, and thank you for your support.
Very good. Excellent.
Buddy.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bonsoir.